Hello, successionaires, and welcome to the TV and conference call talk show, The Road to Success. You know, the show, the show, The Road to Success is a talk show, and we usually talk about anything that you want to talk about. You know, I usually let you pick the topic. But this evening, I'm gonna have a couple of guests, and we're going to have a discussion. I'm your host, Professor William Murray. I'm the president of the Millionaire Mastermind Institute, which is an institute for entrepreneurs and future entrepreneurs. It's here where millionaire mindsets, lifestyles, and businesses are made. We take you from idea to implementation and beyond. The show is here to make you more knowledgeable, make life easier, and teach you how. And as always, God in me greets and blesses the God in you. This evening's show is titled, Let's Talk Spirituality. And you know how I feel about that because you know I'm very spiritual. And I teach from a spiritual point of view. I live my life through spirituality. And I think this evening we would do a show about spirituality. And the brothers I'm bringing on this evening is going to we're going to get into it. We're going to get kind of deep and heavy, and hope that you listen and learn something. Like I tell you, they ask what is insanity? That's hearing the truth, realizing the truth, but still following the lie. It's a lot when you get into something like what we will get into this evening. You know, things are changing, times are changing, and the truth is starting to come out because now with that great invention, that thing called the internet, that thing called Google, the site called YouTube. Any topic or any question you need answered, all you got to do is ask it. Like I tell you right now, ignorance is a choice. See, here's the thing about this whole thing. Our parents weren't wrong. They taught us what was taught them, and what was taught them was very, 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 very wrong. And the truth is starting to surface. The truth is starting to surface. Baby, you got to put that link in there. So like I say, things are changing. Whether you want it to or not, things are changing. Because the truth is there. And like I say, right now, things haven't changed a whole lot except the fact that now it's being videoed. So it's showing you the truth out there. Yes, things are changing. And they're going to get more and more people get more and more knowledgeable. So y'all, we might as well get ready for it. It's going to happen whether you like it or not. It's going to happen. I don't normally get into a conversation this deep with most people because a lot of times they can't handle the truth. You've heard, oh, you can't handle the truth. Believe it. There's so many people out there just can't handle the truth. They can't believe all this time they have been wrong in their beliefs, in what they study, what they worship, and what they celebrate. But as you see now, how things are starting to change because the knowledge and the information is out there. Ignorance is a choice. And you hear me say that, and you hear me say that, and you hear me say that. That choice is yours. Stay dumb and ignorant. And yes, I'm being point blank, y'all. Stay dumb and ignorant. Follow that lie. Go ahead and continue your insanity until you realize and learn the truth. You may not like it, or it's most likely you're not going to. You're not going to like it because you've been taught all these years, for generations, the lie. Like they say, only a fool will let their oppressor educate them. Only a fool will let your oppressor educate you. So y'all, you got to wake up. We're going to try to give y'all a wake up. Now, last time I did this subject, I had people jump off the line. That's okay. They ain't ready. That's okay. But you know, truth and fact, since the beginning of time, is undefeated. So it ain't going to matter. I'm going to bring on my brother, Adib Muhammad. Now, how you doing, my brother? How you doing, brother Adib?
Hey, Professor, how are you this evening, my brother?
I'm
great.
My brother, I am looking forward to the conversation we're going to have this evening. The education we're going to put out there, whether people want to hear it, believe it or not. And the thing is, me and your beliefs are different, somewhat, but it's still the truth. Because we've had conversations, and a lot we agree with each other, and a lot of we don't. But still, we're looking at the fact of and studying to make our truth deeper and much more understanding. What say you, my brother?
Well, I mean, it's all about ascertaining clarity in my world. What I mean by that, first of all, people get thrown off by my name because my name is Adib Abdullah Muhammad. Adib means one of polite manners, scholarly and cultured. Abdullah, of course, means servant of Allah, and Muhammad means worthy of praise. But my name is merely an indication of my growth from when I was a child, and I went from Christianity to Islam. But I didn't stop there, because the more I engaged in the activity of really wanting to understand what it was that our ancestors practiced at the time that we were considered the greatest on the planet, because all civilizations stem from us,
No doubt.
out of Africa, then it took me into the Nile Valley. And that's where I began to practice more of a spiritual, comedic type of belief in terms of knowing as opposed to merely believing. Believing is associated with something that can be true or false, but it's something that you take on as being the case of the universe, if you will, or what the situation is. Whereas knowing has more to do with the acquisition of facts and data that support your position and what it is you feel is the case about the world. So there's a great difference in believing something and knowing something. And I tend to fall on the side of knowledge that can be verified based on historical facts, not fiction or mythology.
You know, Adib, I've been spiritually led my whole life when I didn't even realize that my spirit was guiding me, because I didn't understand spirituality.
Right.
And I was born in, I was raised in the church, baby.
Yeah, me too.
It was about 50 yards from my house. So every time the doors open, you know where Mama had us.
Yeah.
Like I tell you, she wasn't wrong. She was teaching us what was taught her, although what was taught her was wrong. So you got to look at stuff like that. Like I never could get into holidays, Santa Claus, uh, 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 Halloween, Thanksgiving, the Fourth of July. You know, I couldn't get into that. Never could, man, and couldn't understand why until I got into and got around people who knew the truth, gave me books to read because I got a library, man, that is off the chain. I've read so many books, and even from our ancestors. And I still tell you one of the best books I ever read was written by Anthony Browder, The Nile
Now
Valley
Valley
Contribution to
contribution to
Civilization.
civilization. I just finished doing a couple of few months ago. Oh, I got the same book, bro.
Hey, man.
In fact,
this thing is so marked up.
Yeah, well, hey, that's because there's so much knowledge in there that stems from understanding the truth about the facts of our ancestors in the evidence that they left here that can be verified, right?
Yes,
it's like in the simplicity of it all, and I know this hurts a lot of people's feelings, what I'm about to say, is that our ancestors left evidence of their being here on the planet Earth, and they left writings of our history as a people in the Meta-Neter, which is inscribed on pyramids, etc., on walls in stone. Whereas you cannot show me anywhere on the planet Earth evidence of anybody that's spoken about in the Bible. There are no grave sites anywhere, never has there been. So there's a aspect of allegorical people being spoken about in the Abrahamic religions, both Islam and Christianity.
Here's how I look at it.
Go ahead.
Here's how I look at it. My spiritual name is Kibwe Muata Sangha Bamadele. Muata means searcher.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Kibwe means blessed, because first I'm blessed. Muata means searcher, because I'm always searching and researching, baby.
Exactly.
Read. Sangha means from the valley. I'm from West Virginia, baby.
Mm-hmm.
And Bamadele means from another land coming home.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you look at African names. Look at your name, what it meant. And look at my name, what it meant. The language. There's nowhere in our language, in our ancestral, is anyone named Mark, David, John, Murray. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but that's the simplicity of it.
What was written in the Bible, you know, is a lie, because that wasn't language back then, and even your ancestry. Now you got to realize slavery lasted between 10 and 15 generations, baby. Slavery lasted between 10 and 15 generations. So what did I say earlier? Only a fool lets his oppressor educate.
Exactly.
And that's where Christianity comes from.
Well,
and until we realize the lie of Christianity and not study the truth of our ancestry, we're gonna be brainwashed, baby.
Well, but that was, as we know, that was purposeful. And the crazy part is that when you get deep into Christianity and Islam and the laws associated and tenets associated with both, all of the aspects that draw people to it are from the spiritual concepts of our forefathers and our ancestors, that little modicum of truth that exists within surrounding the lie, right? Like in Christianity, for instance, you know, they talk about the 10 Commandments, etc. And we know that comes from the laws of Maat. We know that.
Yes.
When we talk about the authority, let me just take Christianity as an example. The authorities in Christianity are the ecumenical councils of bishops that came together to determine through the Nicene Creed what it was that they wanted to propagate to people, for the people to come to believe. Because we also got to understand, during the 2nd century, a lot of people throughout Europe were not literate. So whatever the leaders, the bishops and people in power came up with who were literate, for the people to follow. When the printing press was created, what's the first thing that they printed? Can you tell me? The
Most
Bible.
people, yeah, most people have no idea. You
You
know
know,
something that here's the thing that people don't realize. Earlier, when the Bible was printed, it was illegal for the public to read it.
uh-huh.
If they caught you reading the Bible, it was instant death.
Mm-hmm. And see,
And
it's a lot of things in history, true history, not just his story, but the reality of his story and how that impacted our people. I mean, it is what it is. And the only way that we grow in the most profound way of becoming the people who represent that which created this is us to come back to our African spirituality and understanding that our people had at the height of our civilization. You know, because see, the whole thing, you know, and see, we can talk like, oh man, the whole thing, whatever. Like, it's kind of simple to us being conscious and cognizant of the impact of being taught something by people who didn't have your interest in mind. Like you say, how you going to depend upon what the oppressor taught you as the circumstances and situation in the earth? And they the mere fact that you taught that you were born in sin and that somebody died as a result to alleviate any responsibility of the evil and the things that you do that are not quite right. That's washed away. And we know that even in the Bible, if they want to go on their own word, it says no person can die for another person's sins. But at the same time, you're going to tell me that somebody died on the cross, and because he died on the cross, I mean, it's just illogical when you think about it. And we know that spirituality, we're driven by experience and what we know intrinsically to be the truth from the God within us about how we conduct ourselves. We have a natural feeling when we're tuned in to what's right and wrong.
you know, Dave, now, because of all the literature, all the books I've read, all the brilliant minds I've been around, I learned, back before slavery, and let me tell y'all this: history did not start with slavery.
Heck no.
History for us ended with slavery.
Mm-hmm.
Now, our language, our beliefs from before slavery and millions of years before then, to us, there was no such thing as God. There was no word in our language for God.
Nor Satan, none of that.
Sin, devil.
Wasn't none of that.
No, that was put in because see, here's what Christianity does. Christianity runs on fear.
Exactly.
Spirituality does not function on fear. It functions on truth.
And it functions on possibilities. It
yes,
functions on your ability, utilizing your mind, your actions in the collaborative effort of positive energy and people to make things manifest. And when you come to understand that, look what you're doing. You are impacting people because you've decided to engage in an activity in which you can communicate with millions of people and educate them in some way that benefits them. It ain't about you. It's about you being the God that you are and impacting the masses of people by providing the truth to them on different levels and in different ways. But in each and every way that you impact people through the Mastermind Institute, it's all for their betterment as a people. That's what God-like quality is about. That's what men that represent the positive energy of creation, that's what they do. That's what they do without any lies.
My brother. You got see now. Here's what they're saying, and I will read something I tell you something that I read, and I don't know how true it is, but they saying it's take 200 years before like they say, the older generation is going to have to die for the truth to really, really, really start surfacing, because they're believing what was taught to them by their slave masters and passed on generation for generation for generation. They're teaching, they're telling, look at this thing they're talking about now. They don't teach no Black history in the schools. Because if they do start teaching the true Black history, it's going to show you how cruel, nasty, and violent white people are, Caucasians are, how evil the colonizers were. Now, I'm not saying all white people, because some of them are learning and realizing, hey, look, our ancestry is shit. We are nasty. I mean, you know, I can say that on my program.
Right. You can say what you want to say on your program.
But it's true. I mean, you don't have to like what I say, but I'm going to say it in point blank range. Right. I'm not going to sweet talk it.
Right, right.
Why am I going to sugarcoat the truth? I told you, truth and fact is undefeated since the beginning of time.
Well, that's why they don't want to teach, like you say, they don't want to teach true critical facts and do a critical analysis of history from the perspective of the people who were affected by the decisions that the colonizers made. But see, what's happening, like you said, I believe at the outset of the show, you alluded to the fact that the truth based on the internet, which is one of the means by which people are communicating and have accessibility to the truth, but the growing numbers of people of color who have a different world perspective of the history of this country and of Europe and in the areas in which these Europeans went in and conquered and changed what the people were experiencing based on the belief that they wanted them to engage in, and that they substantiated through fear, power, killing, and all of that. And see, that whole thing about killing people in order to bring people to believe or make them practice what you wanted them to practice goes all the way back to Ptolemy, who was the first other than indigenous African pharaoh in the Nile Valley during the reign when Alexander the Great died. And that's also where the first images, Serapis, came of the same image you see of the white Jesus on the cross today. That's where that originated.
You know, now you see what I wear around my neck. You never see. I've been wearing this thing now for over 40 years. Same one, because this was blessed to me doing my spiritual. Doing my spiritual renaming.
That's what happens when you grow.
When you grow. You know, people were talking about wearing the cross of Jesus. Hey, let me tell you, that is the biggest damn lie. And
but the cross represents death. It don't represent life.
And I don't usually get into it because a Christian will never get it. They'll never understand it, how wrong they have been educated, how the lie is there.
Well, okay, now, right there, bro, we got a little bit of difference there, right? I believe that just like I know for me, I can't speak for you, I'll speak for me. I started out as a Christian.
Me too.
But in church, every time I asked very specific questions about what I read in the Bible and what the Bible said that Jesus said, and in comparison to what the minister was teaching, there was a blatant contradiction. And as a child, I mean, this was pre-adolescent. I was 7, 8, 9 years old, because my parents taught me to be an avid reader as a kid. I love reading. So I read all the time, which means what was I reading at the time? The Bible, as one of the books in the house that was always there to read. And when I read in the red what Jesus was saying, compared to what the minister was saying about sin and all of that, and I'd ask questions, when it came down to not being able to answer questions specifically or not wanting to, it was always, well, that's for God to understand. It'll come to you and all of that. And I was like, well, the Bible say that God is the author of peace and not confusion. So if peace by definition is the absence of disturbance and confusion, then what you giving me based on what I'm reading, there's a contradiction there. I couldn't articulate it the same way I articulate it now, but I felt it and I knew it was more. So on top of reading history, now I'm going to becoming a teenager, 16, 17, 18 years old, and I'm in the military. I'm traveling the world now, and I'm exposed to Christianity, Buddhism, Hinduism, because when I went out of the country and was stationed in Korea, for instance, and going over to Japan. So now I'm like, okay, now that's when it first dawned on me, oh, the difference in what you believe is based on where you were born and what the dominant religion that's taught in that place is. So that means if we got this great big planet and we got all these different people believing all these different relationships to God and who God is and how God manifests, and some people don't believe in sin, some people don't believe in, it's just different aspects of belief. So that made me want to inquire as to these different means, methods, and ways that people believe, which led me to coming to understand that Christianity didn't have the answers for me because it wanted me to stop thinking.
Yeah.
And just accept what I was told without thinking and not correlating what you telling me with the facts of the existence that I'm experiencing. And on top of that, you killing my people, the history of you killing my people, and then you telling me that you're a Christian. But I guess it's a different Christian when it's a black Christian that you hanging and lynching and doing all these atrocities to, from you being, and then you do it in the name of Christianity. Because it was the Pope who sanctified looking at our people as other than human for them to engage in the activity of slavery. So I'm like, okay, and you telling me this, your history is telling me this.
So you got to realize, man, the Bible has been rewritten, and like these fools out here now. Oh man, I'm going with the King James version. The King, well, hell,
oh my God,
Hitler looked like a saint compared to King James. And you got fools out there. I mean, it makes no sense to me. And I'm trying to say, people talking about, well, man, Gabriel was in the belly of a whale. Man, a whale can't swallow nothing that large because they don't eat meat or nothing of that size. Man, and talking about, yeah, he walked on water. I've been on a cruise. I've walked on the water. What is the cruise on?
On a boat.
It's on water. So what have I done?
Walked on water.
I've walked on water. I mean, man, they take here's the thing is, man, myth. The Bible and Christianity is a myth. And a myth is something that's not true, but may have a little truth in it.
Yeah, and it's usually something that in a way of relaying a story that makes a point. So it's about the people and the things that they experience to make a point. So hey.
I've got one of the callers want to come in. Sure. Yes, my brother. The floor, talk to us. Brother Drew.
In listening, and
I can't hear him.
First of all,
you got to talk louder, Drew. You got to talk louder.
I have to say this to make the point that I'm going to say. Christianity, Islam, Hinduism, Buddhism, whatever you want to call them, are religions.
Yes.
Religions are man-made. That's the one.
Yes.
For an individual, as far as walking on water, I'm good to walk out here on this earth. As long as I can plant my feet on this earth. When I walk on my door and my feet hit the dirt, that's my miracle. Each and every day. I don't have to argue that point with anybody because I walk for myself. If my belief, if my faith in what I say to help me live from a spiritual standpoint is not to augur somebody else's point of view, but to respect what they do. If this individual, now the gentleman said about the different countries, well, of course, if my mother and father were Catholic 9 times out of 10, I'd be a Catholic. If my mother and father were Islam, 9 times out of 10, I'd be Islam, unless I chose to change. So there's nothing wrong with having a concept of what's right for an individual, because it's the individual that has to make their own choice.
Oh, hold it, Drew. Drew,
right
I'm gonna tell you where you're. I'm gonna tell you where you're wrong at. I'm gonna tell you where you're wrong at. Look at racists. Because their parents taught them that, does that make it right? No. Because your parents are racist don't mean you gotta be. My mother was a Christian. My family are Christians. I am not.
I didn't say individuals couldn't change their mind. I didn't say that. Individuals change their mind anytime they get ready.
Yeah, man, but here's the thing. But here's the thing. Like I said, what's insanity? Hearing the truth, realizing the truth, and still hanging in that line. That's insanity. You don't have to like what we're saying because you're a Christian, but you better open your eyes. You better open and look at.
You know what? Let me say something. I think because I get the gist of what Drew is saying though, Murray, and what he's contextualizing it from the standpoint. Yes, it is about the individual's decision about their relationship to that which created all this, their relationship to God, right, in the universe. But when we talking about freeing our people, raising our people to the highest consciousness and clarity of who we are in the greatest sense of ourselves, in order for us to be able to do what Christianity and Islam and other religions, which we all know religions are really for the express purpose of making people submissive to some type of authority.
And fear, yeah, you're right.
So, but when we talking about raising our people's consciousness so that they have the clarity and the understanding of the necessity of collaborative effort, which is real power, when people come together and understand the better of themselves, that they can move in a collective way to create and manifest a better community. That's not going to happen over no short period of time if we take the Eurocentric perspective, which is that whole thing about it's about the individual. That's where divide and conquer from a psychological standpoint begins.
You know, because here's one thing. Now, we travel the world to learn and to educate the world. See, the Europeans travel the world to conquer. And anytime you got a bully over peaceful people, the bully's going to win in the battle. Now, they say you may win the battle, lose the war. Well, we're going to win this war because eventually the lies that the Europeans have been telling and teaching us are getting ready to be antiquated. History is showing us how cruel and mean and nasty they are. Look what's going on in America today. Look what's going on in the world, all because of racism. Racism didn't exist until the Europeans traveled the world. It did not exist. When the Europeans traveled the world, they traveled the world, like I said, to conquer, not to learn. We taught them how to bathe. They didn't even know about, look at the Black Plague. They had no idea what caused it. All it was causing was filth.
Yep.
What? And from filth comes what? Disease.
And if it had not been for the Moors controlling Europe for a little over 800 years, which was the Renaissance, then they wouldn't have came to be the cleanliness and the different practices that quote unquote raised them to why they show you in motion pictures this grand greatness and really the history of Europe. When they went into the courts of the queens and kings, it was like pigsties because they lived with their animals at one point.
Well, you can see the lies that they're telling, and they're trying to, right now, right today, they're trying to take us back to the time when we believed everything they said. And it's not going to happen. Do you know now what they call those people, the racists and all? They call them the 3%ers. 3%ers. So until we wake up, and realize the lies that have been taught to us and told us for generations, we're going to suffer. I'm serious, man, and maybe I'm cold or what, but I have no sympathy for a Christian. None. These ministers, like I was talking to this one minister one day, he said, what I'm supposed to do, be unemployed? I said, man, if you're not in church teaching your people about history and their greatness, and you teach them from that bullshit Bible, you're not doing your people a favor. He says, then if I do that, I'll be unemployed. So otherwise, your employment is more important to you. The truth is more, the lie is more important to you than preaching the truth to your people and your family. He was looking at it, if I do that, I won't have a job. How sick is that? He is playing right into the white man's hands. Keep them dumb, ignorant, and believe it in a lie.
Spirituality, and you're talking about spirituality. I believe spirituality comes from within the individual. That's what I believe.
Yeah, that's true.
Again, and I'll make the statement again. Christianity, Islam, Hinduism, Judaism, whatever kind of ism, is man-made. So
yes.
If it's man-made, there's going to be fault somewhere. It's going to be fault because man got his hand in it. Ain't nothing man had his hand in that comes out first.
But Christianity is nothing but a holdback for us. It is not our friend. Christianity is not our friend. It is what is holding us back as a people.
Well, that's one of the things.
Religion is holding us back as a people. Study your ancient civilization and find out. Like I told you, that book, Nile Valley through Civilization, is one hell of a book. The book by Charles Finch, Echoes of an Old Dark Land, is one hell of a book. Read it, and then come talk to me.
But you're talking about spirituality. You're not talking about religion.
But religion, hey man, look at this. They don't teach you spirituality in religion. They do not teach you that. Religion is a lie. Hey man, until you realize that religion is a lie. Religion, Christianity is a lie. Ooh. Until you realize that it is a lie, you will be ignorant and following the white man's way. Yes, I'm being blunt, but I'm telling you like it is. You ain't got to like it, but it's true. You ain't got to agree with it, but that don't stop from being true. I told you, truth and fact is undefeated since the beginning of time.
Well, I got a question.
Okay.
On that basis.
I got a question. And religion is two different things.
Right, but you can't, man, look, you can't be both. You can't be a Christian and living in a spiritual world, believing that bullshit of the Bible.
Ooh.
Impossible. Man, you can't do it. Hey, man, like I tell you, God and fear cannot occupy the same space. Ignorance.
I'm going to respect what a person believes, regardless.
Oh, I'm going to respect you, but that don't mean that what you believe is the truth.
What I might think or what I might say, I'm going to respect what the other person is saying their belief, whether I agree with it or not. I'm going to respect them.
No, I respect them, but that lie they believe in, don't feed that to me. I don't want to hear it because I know it's a lie. I have read, man, I have been with some of the most brilliant minds of ancient civilization. I sat with them. I studied with them for years. Where people went and got degrees from universities, I went and got knowledge and information from those who taught the truth.
But I get your point, Brother Drew. Because see, I don't think there's a disassociation from the standpoint of people respecting each other. Because some of my closest associates and that I engage with on various levels, and I can truly say I love them. Some of them are Muslims, some of them are Christians, some of them are Buddhists. I don't think it's a question of disrespecting them. Now, it may come across like that from the standpoint of what it is that they believe in the fervent way that my brother, Professor Murray, just deals very bluntly. But he's not talking about the individual person when you engage. He gives them the utmost respect. But at the same time of giving a person respect, because spirituality does teach you to deal with people where they are in a respectful way because we want to represent that which is the best part of ourselves. But that don't mean we got to water down what it is and what we come to understand in differentiating the truth from a lie. You know what I mean? But I get your point in terms of respect. Now, nobody's saying, maybe at the outset we should have said, well, this is not to disrespect anybody, because it's not. It's about, look, this is the truth and the reality that you'll come to understand if you engage in the activity of research, facts, and getting your information from people that have your best interests in mind, and not allowing yourself to partake of the lies and the information that the oppressor is feeding you. Even in the guise today of, oh yeah, we want everybody to be equal. Well, you can't honestly say you want everybody to be equal if you're not going to teach the truth of our history and what you've been to us. So we can make a decision as to coming to a determination of who you and how you really are. Because your history, the past, is a reflection of where people are today, which can help impact the decision about where they go tomorrow. And if you got a false past and a whole bunch of lies, then that foundation of you standing on right now and where you going moving forward is going to fall apart. And that's what we see happening.
And that's what's happening. I mean, until we realize the truth of our ancestors and quit following the lie of our oppressor, we're gonna stay right where they want us.
And right when we understand that the lie that the oppressor is proliferating come from the truth of us. They took our magic, our spirituality, our knowledge, repackaged it, and gave it back to us as though they were the ones that came up with it.
I guarantee you, I'm willing to bet $1 to a donut that 99%, almost 100% of Christians or religious people have never ever looked at the book of Coming Forth. Never heard of it. The white man called the Book of the Dead. Why they call it the Book of the Dead? Because it was found in every tomb.
Yep.
So they call it the Book of the Dead. That's the lie, it's the Book of Coming Forth.
Yeah, the whole concept of them saying that the Kemetics and the ancient Egyptians worshipped gods and goddesses. They had symbols of the principles of how the universe worked, both on the physical and the metaphysical plane. It wasn't about no humanistic personification of God, but they'll tell you that, oh, they were a polytheistic people that worship all these many gods and goddesses. It was Bartholomew and them that came up with the gods and goddesses because they couldn't understand the esoterical and the spiritual part of what the information that they encountered.
Right. You know what they worship? You know what they worship? They worship nature, fire, earth, wind. They worship natural, not worship they took care of, because they would not. They anytime that your belief is in purity of spirit and in purity of nature, of fire, and that's what your belief is, the impurity of, that's natural. That is pure naturalness. But when you get into talking about, yeah, he parted the waters and he had Noah to build an ark. Come on, man. Duh.
But see, that whole story of Noah building the ark stemmed from the story of the rising of the river in the Nile Valley. Right. That's where it came from. Right. It came from the story of the pharaohs going down, because when you look at, see, now I'm gonna have to get a little deep on you. What I mean by that, we talk about not astrology but astronomy, which is a science of comparison the stars and all of that with the earth, mapping it, and how the pharaohs traveled up the Nile Valley when the valley rose. That's where the whole concept initially of the flooding of the earth came from. But who in your right mind gonna believe that the whole entire earth was flooded, and every animal, including animals that wasn't even in that area of the earth, but they got you believing two of them went into a boat and Noah went rose. And I mean, it's just Walt Disney
How
all
stupid
the
is
way
that?
around. I mean, you gonna believe
I'm looking at it as pure insanity to believe something like that.
it is.
Now you're talking about. I say I can get into numbers too. I don't want to get too deep because then I'm getting into the
Well,
numbers.
get into numbers, bro. Get into numbers.
Hey man, people don't realize that the number 13, that's why the Bible says that Jesus had 12 disciples. No, baby, it was 13 of them because 12 and 1 is what? 13. So they took that and said, well, you can't build a 13th floor as a jinx number. They can't let you realize how powerful the number 13 is. And the number 9 is the number for truth and fact. I don't care what you do to the number 9. 9 will always be multiplied and equal 9 because 9 times 1 is 9. 2 times 9 is 18 and 8 and 1 is 9. 3 times 9 is 27. 7 and 2 is 9. 9 times 9 is 81 and 8 and 1 is 9. You
can't hold up, Professor. You're carrying them too fast, man. You're carrying them too fast. Let's not get in. Let's not get too too deep on them because then it seems like they create magic. No, we create reality.
Yes.
That's what it is.
But they got you believing that 13 is a jinx number. That is one of the most spiritual numbers you could ever worship and use.
Well, let's approach it from this way. Okay. This is the way that I had a professor when I was at Howard University named Professor Garrett back in the day. And Professor Garrett, the one thing that I appreciate about studying with him, because he ran Black Studies at Howard during the time before Howard started getting all this money from other people and changed their curriculum. They became less, they became less militaristic, if you will. But he taught his students how to think dialectically, meaning don't just believe what somebody tell you, research what they're telling you. And I'm not, everything I say as it relates to what I've come to a conclusion of, you can actually research and verify with clarity and facts and data of what I'm talking about.
I just can't get, I just can't. King James, I mean, and then people talking about reading the King James. Man, how big a damn fool are you? Would you read a book from Hitler and follow and worship what he wrote? But King James was a saint. I mean, Hitler was a saint compared to King James. King James killed his mother. You know why he killed his mother? Because she was a female. Mm-hmm. Come on, man. None of us came about without a female. But yet you can study out of it, and you don't realize how many scholars he killed because they would not write what the books as he wanted them done. And Shakespeare autographed the book. And people don't realize how he did. He was 49. Look, the 49th verse of Psalm, the 49th word is shake. I mean, the 49th is shake, and the 49th verse word is spear. That's how he sounded because he was 49. And I mean, you got to realize, y'all, you don't understand the depth and the cruelty of how you've been educated.
Well, it's psychology.
Wait a minute. Parker wrote, I personally believe whatever makes you a better person, go for it. Everyone's truth can be different. Yes, everyone's belief can be different.
But not their truth. Truth is
in fact is undefeated, baby. You can believe a lie that makes you feel, I'm spiritual, this, spiritual, that, God and Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ did not exist. There was no such word as Jesus. No person as Jesus.
Read words have power, don't they?
I'm telling you, I mean, the people eating this garbage up, man, and the truth is out there before them. That's insanity. Hearing the truth, but not wanting to realize the truth and still following the lie. Makes no sense. Look how truth is coming out now, and they're moving all these statues from the monuments. Because the Europeans said, this guy's great, that guy's great. Do you realize, man, everybody that signed the Declaration of Peace and the Constitution had slaves. It wasn't written for you. It so happens that now we can use it to our benefit. Our benefit. Because it was not written for us, so every one of them still had slaves. And I used to Constitution, Constitution, it wasn't written for us, y'all. We were still slaves.
And then the Civil War at the quote unquote ending of the Civil War, what tells you they didn't care about black folks and all of that being free? None of that was the case, because at the time, the South, from an economic standpoint, is what attributed to America becoming economically powerful because of all this free labor from the slaves that they had.
And wait a minute.
So they gave the slave masters who traitorously fought against this country their land back.
Man, what they did too, man, do you realize they gave them, they paid them for every slave that was free. They gave them acreage.
Yep.
And mules.
Hey,
that was ours. They took it from
us. You remember the Green Book?
Yeah, man.
People don't even. That's the whole thing about the lack of knowledge. People don't realize in the history of America, black people moving around this country had to have a green book which shows them all the places where it was safe for them to travel to when they was traveling with their families. Where could they stay? Because they couldn't, because of Jim Crow and other laws. Remember the sundown laws?
Sundown.
If you was black, your butt wasn't, you better be off the street by sundown, or what? You get lynched, shot, killed, whatever.
I grew up in West Virginia, brother.
Oh, so you know.
In the 50s.
Yeah, so you know.
I know.
I remember in D.C., I'm 66, and that's still relatively young. I was on the cusp of when Jim Crow laws started changing. But I remember as a kid, we could go downtown at Christmas time and look at the window, look at the little animatronics. But my grandmother, we couldn't even go in the daggone store.
And if you did go in, you had to go in the side door and you couldn't try on nothing.
There you go. All of that. But I'm talking about time we couldn't even go in there.
Yeah,
of course, I remember that. I didn't understand that until I read why it was later.
I was
you know what I'm saying? So,
I grew up surrounded by sundown towns.
Towns, yep.
Hey man, I know. I can tell you, brother. You better not be. Man, we had a graveyard in our town. A black dog better not even cross it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So don't tell me. I know about.
But see, that's the thing. People nowadays, by people not having the truth in any understanding of the reality of what our people experience here in America in the last 100 years. You ain't even got to go far back. Just in the last 100 years, which is a short period of time when you think about people who are 60, 70, 80 years old, what they experience compared to the illusion of freedom today. Yeah, we can become successful in various areas. We can make money. We can do all these things. But without the truth of our history, then our certain individuals making money, but not demonstrating collective effort, improving the quality of the life for the masses of our people in the communities, then it don't mean that much from a generational standpoint, because all that money gonna go back to the people who've been oppressing you, because you spending your resources the way that they define for you to spend it on them. That's why we don't have no daggone stores in the community as much black owned as we once had even during segregation.
People don't realize how many towns was burned just like Tulsa.
Yep.
Oklahoma. There were dozens of successful. Oklahoma wasn't the only one. Y'all read your history and find out how many towns it is.
It's just like
I've got a list of all
lynching wasn't only in the South. Lynching was in the North. Lynching was in Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Seattle, Washington. I mean, lynching, when you think about lynching on the surface, most people think, oh, only people got lynched in the South. Oh, no, my brother. Lynching was all throughout this country.
You know, man, if we were to study our ancient history, we wouldn't be as bad off as we are. And what's making it so bad, we're teaching our kids that bullshit. We're teaching it to our kids. Instead of saying, wait a minute, let me research this to make sure I'm bringing my child up correctly and with the truth. Because all your child is going to do is extend the study and the truth. And sometimes you got to listen to your children. They will educate you because they aren't taking this BS that we've been feeding them. Oh, there's a tooth fairy. There's Noah. There's Santa Claus at Christmas. I wish a damn white man would bring his ass through my damn window. That's where you go find him. Laying right there with bullet holes in it. Man, I can't get, to me, man, that's pure ignorance.
Yeah.
I'm being nice, but I'm saying that is pure
But
ignorance.
I think one of the ways that we can help overcome that ignorance, at least I'll being responsible for, okay, let me show you some places where you can begin to understand. And what you do with it once you get, because the thing is, once you know, you can't unknow. Once you know, you are like, oh my goodness, everything in you will begin to just acquire more and more and more. And I guarantee you this, the more you know about the greatness in our relationship to what our ancestors taught, the better you are equipped to manipulate this environment to your benefit and to your family's benefit. You'll begin to create a legacy of knowledge, a legacy of wealth, and a legacy of understanding what we need to do collectively as a people to improve the quality of our lives. Once you know, you can't unknow.
Hey, man, two things. The system works perfectly.
Oh, yeah.
For them. And man, people don't realize when I say I teach from a third ear and a third eye.
Mm-hmm.
And spirituality, how I teach. You ain't gotta like it. I don't knock you if you're a Christian. I just think you that's why I look at these ministers. I don't have a lot of respect for them. Because all they're doing is giving you the white man's way of keeping you in bondage and slavery. But I often do hear me tell you and tell you and tell you. And I can say, you might not get it at first, but eventually you're going to get it. When your mind is a weapon, you will never and are unfit to be a slave.
Yep. And you don't never run out of ammunition.
That's right. Like I say, see, I'm not a know-it-all. I'm a one to learn it all.
There you go.
Yeah, man, you talk about this stuff. Yeah, man, I'm not conceited. I'm not know-it-all. All I am is I want to learn it all. And I research stuff and look up stuff and questions and stuff, man, but I got to know and I got to look it up and do the research. People don't have no idea how much time I spend in research.
Yeah, because my library is filled too. I feel you. And it's filled with a broad collection of information, but more specifically, information coming from our guides and mentors with our people's best interests in mind, which is to simply know thyself. The biggest problem that our people have is emulating people other than who we are, where we come from genealogically. If you don't understand that on the planet Earth, it's been verified over and over and over again that civilization began in North Africa in the Nile Valley, and then they went all out into the rest part.
You know, some people.
The white man ain't even been on the planet that long.
Right today,
been on the planet that long.
In 2021, today in 2021, the Nile Valley still floods for 40 days and 40 nights.
Mm-hmm.
Right today.
That's nature, baby.
That's where they got the 40 days and 40 nights from.
Mm-hmm.
The Nile Valley, right today in 2021, still floods for 40 days and 40 nights.
And what makes it so bad, even today as we speak, more and more evidence is being uncovered in the Nile Valley in Northern Africa from people like Dr. Anthony Browder.
Yes.
You know? And then when you understand that history is there for us to see, nowhere will you ever find a grave site of anybody named Noah, Jesus, Moses, Mary, any of those people. David, they never existed.
They never
existed. But you can find Imhotep. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can find the grave sites of great African kings and queens who existed because they got mummies, they got written metadata on the walls, inscribed to tell you. And then how the Europeans try to confuse you is they take out of the area of our ancestors and put it in museums in France, in Italy, in England, so that they can confuse you. Because if you can't afford, or you don't think in terms of going back to where it all began, then when you hear civilizations began with black people were the first people on the planet, you say, oh, that's dead. Because these other people, they'll tell you black people was the first people on the planet, but then they try to tell you that those black people were crazy and that they got civilized by the Greeks when they happened to conquer a certain area. They didn't even conquer all of Africa. They conquered a certain area in the Nile Valley, and they used to kill the priests of the spiritual houses of Africans in order to convince them to name Ptolemy as an emperor. As a pharaoh. And that's how they got him to do it. It would never been other than African indigenous pharaohs in Kemet if it had not been for a certain group of priests who were being killed, saying, okay, well, we're going to have to go ahead and let Ptolemy be a pharaoh. And that's when the first other than black pharaohs came to be. And that's what they want to tell you about. They want to tell you about Egypt, which was the name that the Greeks gave to Kemet.
Yeah.
So they'll tell you about ancient Egypt, but they're not going to tell you about the millions and millions of years of history that preceded that point where they got a little bit of our knowledge. They took that little bit of our knowledge, and here we are in America today.
And a lot of them has never, ever heard of the tribe called the Dogons.
Oh, my God. They don't know. And that's where the real in-depth understanding of the universe stems from.
Hey, man, right today, they are still trying to decipher a lot of what the history of the Dogons, and they're starting to find planets that they didn't even know existed, but the Dogons already mapped it.
Exactly. See, that's when you get to understand the level of why it is when we talk about civilization, particularly coming from Dogons and talking about astronomy, mapping the universe. And understanding quantum physics of how you can be in the same two places at the same time, you know.
And you know something else? They don't realize. See, I did a thing on mathematics, right? I did a show on mathematics. And I'm probably going to do that again within the next month just to give them the education. Algebra, geometry, trigonometry, alphabet, all numbers, all of that came from Africa, baby.
Yeah, well, they know that.
No, but they ain't gonna tell you.
That, but they ain't gonna tell our people that.
The deeper they dig, the deeper you dig, the blacker history becomes.
Exactly. But it makes sense. If the first people on the planet were black people who went out into the rest of the world, and everybody else came from us, and even everybody bear witness to the fact that they come from us, but they always try to distort what that really means. They want to distort the fact that all of that which is considered civilized in terms of in-depth thinking, science, mathematics, and all of that came from us. Because even in their history, when they talk about Plato, Socrates, and all of these people, Pythagoras, all of them went to Kemet in order to become thinkers, in-depth thinkers. And they even used to say as a metaphor that the gods of Greek and Roman history had to go to Kemet to retain their power. Their power was over the psychology of people and controlling masses of people by infecting the way that people thought, what they saw the world to be, where they identified greatness.
I mean,
propaganda, baby.
We're over time now. I usually don't go over an hour, man. Man. And I'm not knocking those who believe what they believe, but if you aren't believing the truth, y'all, you're following the system and the domination of the Europeans.
They need to read. That's what I would.
I'm telling you. Start off with it's two. This one ain't as big. Oh, it's the second. The Browder files. Look at how marked up I got this. How many pages I got?
You know,
especially
you
Mark.
got the Browder file from the from the Browder files 1 and 2.
I got it, baby. The survival
All right.
strategy.
Come on, baby.
I
Let's,
got it.
that's
I
what I'm
got this
talking
one
about.
too.
I got all that.
But here's the one. Now I'm gonna close with this, y'all.
Now,
You gotta get this. You see this book? I'm gonna
now
put it
move
right.
it
See
over
this
in the
book?
screen. That's right.
See that book? The Nile Valley Contribution to Civilization by Anthony Browder. I'm gonna read you something, y'all. Then I'm gonna close with this.
Go ahead, boy.
You talking about know thyself? A person who knows not and knows not that they know not is foolish. Disregard them. A person who knows not and knows not that they know is simple. Teach them. A person who knows not and believes that they know is dangerous. Avoid them. A person who knows and knows not that they know is asleep. Awaken them. A person who knows and know that they know is wise. Follow them.
Also,
All of these persons reside in you. Know thyself. And to Maat be true. Now, I'm going to throw a word at you. I want y'all to look up. Maat. M-A-A-T. Look up Maat and look up Ankh. A-N-K-H. Period. Look it up. Read the book, The Nile Valley Contribution to Civilization, and then come talk to me.
Also, just as a note, since we, particularly for those of us in the DMV, right? Because we are located in a place where you need to check this out.
I got that
Egypt
too.
on the Potomac.
I got it.
And
baby.
you get the symbolism of all of that which you see around you, which stem from the greatness of Kemet. And it's undeniable truth, baby.
I got, hey man, see, we got our library, man. If they didn't sell but 2 books, me and you the one that bought them. But I know there's so more, y'all. I want to thank all of y'all, my brother Adib.
It was fun, bro. It was fun.
I don't get a chance to talk like I know I get excited but I mean, you know, man, I'm trying to educate my people, man.
Hey,
I'm trying to save my people.
It comes from a good place in your heart, man. I know.
I'm trying to save my people, and those who I hope y'all don't hold it against me, because I'm trying to open up your mind. That's why that's why I'm known as a mindologist. I'm trying to open your mind to the truth and the facts and the way and what it is you look for to get the truth and the fact, and quit teaching our kids all these lies.
And if you want to know where the lie began, in a substantive way, look up the ecumenical councils of Rome. Then you'll know where the whole concept of God to the Son, Son God to God, and sin, they created that in order to guide the people a certain way so they could control. And they tell you that in their own history. So, hey, pay attention, read, pick up a book.
Indeed. Thank you, my brother, because like I said, I don't get a chance to do this very often. And I probably pissed off a lot of people that was listening in.
I know, I'm an actor, a producer, director, and all that. Now I know some of my people is like, man, he crazy.
Hey, man.
But my success stemmed from my spiritual understanding.
And my mind is my weapon.
That's
right. I am not fit to be a slave, baby. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. Thank you, Adib, my brother, and I will bring you back when we can talk business.
All right, too.
Thank you, my brother. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. And as I always tell you, if you push me, I'll pull you. If you pull me, I'll push you. It's not going to matter whether you're pushing or pulling, baby. We're going to get there together. Why? I am going to make sure that you're a winner. I'm going to give you information and knowledge and the know-how. I don't have to be in your belief to give you the education. If I know, I know. If you don't and I do, I can give it to you. I want to thank y'all for tuning in. You know I love you, and ain't nothing you can do about it. Until next time, y'all, God bless. And remember, truth and fact are undefeated, regardless on how acquire knowledge, the truth, the fact. Till next time, everyone, God bless.